Good evening, everyone. We're starting our conference again here. This evening we have Jerry Flynn. We're going to be tapping into the whole wireless technology smart grid that we're being bombarded with, and yet the way it's coming across to us is like it's the greatest invention since the wheel. And sadly, people don't realize the only reason why this technology hasn't been out before is because it's actually illegal, because it's harmful to us. And again, with locals supporting locals, we like to raise the awareness, but we try to get the people that are credited, that know what they're talking, to speak on these issues. So I got Jerry Flynn here this evening, and it is truly a pleasure to have him here. He's actually been in the military for 26 years and he's retired, and he was in this field with the military. But I won't say anything more because I think it's better for Jerry to introduce himself. So enjoy.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay, my name is Jerry Flynn. Up until about 20 months ago, I was retired. I was a woodworker in my garage, and then my daughter called me from Vancouver Island, and she knew that I was in radio, but she didn't know what kind of radio I was in, because everything I did was covered by the Official Secrecy Act in the military. I spent 26 years plus 1 day, most of it in electronic warfare, radio warfare, and signals intelligence. I spent 10 years up north, 7 years in the high Arctic, 3 years aboard ship in a destroyer. I was in National Defense Headquarters in the Directorate of the Directorate of Electronic Warfare. The Naval Headquarters in Halifax. I was in Italy with the Army. I was in Germany with the Army. So I've had a very diverse background. There's very little about wireless radio communications I do not know. I don't profess to be an expert in EMR, or electromagnetic radiation, but I have studied it thoroughly for the last 20 months. I'm trying to be a messenger to get this word out. Since my daughter called me, I haven't been in my workshop in 20 months. The provincial government under Gordon Campbell introduced the Bill 17, 2010, which, like the Clean Energy Act, which mandated that every home, every dwelling in British Columbia will have a smart meter. What the bill did not say is that you must have it wireless. In Japan, every home in Japan is connected via hard wire. They use fiber optics. In Italy, 27 million homes in Italy all have hard wire. They use a power line carrier. In the state of Idaho, they have fiber optic. In the state of Connecticut, they're hardwired. It's only in the rest of the US and Canada that we are determined to use this wireless radio. And anything wireless creates radiation. For example, with your cell phones and your smartphones, if you turn them on and you go to your settings and press Wi-Fi, it'll start searching your neighborhood for all of the Wi-Fi routers in your neighborhood. So if you see that you've got 6 sites there, that means that you're being radiated by 6 different Wi-Fi routers. But we don't think of it in those terms. But you're being radiated. Just to give you some idea of how in the last 30 years, our whole environment has changed enormously in terms of electrics and electronics. In just the last 30 years, you've got things like your microwave oven, which you must never look into, cell phone towers, iPhones, smartphones, cordless phones. And cordless phones, by the way, in North America, they're always on. One of the most dangerous things you can have in your house is a cordless phone. They're always on. Even when you put it back in the receptacle and you go to bed to go to sleep, that thing is pulsing, microwave, day and night. In Europe, they're smarter. They have a technology, they have cordless phone, but when they hang up their phone, so to speak, it shuts the power off. They stop radiating. In North America, we're stupid. tablets, Wi-Fi routers, laptops. A laptop, by the way, don't ever put a laptop on your lap. You're being radiated. There's a growing problem today with infertility because of this radiation. Don't carry a cell phone in your pocket. Don't carry a cell phone in the holster. When that phone, even though you've ended a conversation, you put that phone back in your holster, that thing is still radiating. It's constantly seeking out the cell phone towers all the time, day and night. So don't carry a cell phone on your body. I have a smartphone, my wife has a smartphone, but we never have ours on, except when we want to make a phone call. Do not make a cell phone call inside your car. You have a metal enclosure. It's the most difficult. It makes your cell phone use maximum power to try to overcome the environment of your car, and therefore you're being radiated more in your car than out of a car. Baby monitors. You see mothers with their loving children, they put them in a crib, then they put a monitor on it. That monitor is pulsing all the time. Not only the child, but also the mother when she's got it on her hip or her apron, whatever it is. So you've got satellites, your GPS. In the world today, there are 33 satellites going around the world. Some are geostationary, and they're from 70 degrees north to 70 degrees south. These are radiating us all the time. But Wi-Fi or anything wireless, you cannot see it, cannot touch it, cannot feel it, can't hear it, can't smell it. So therefore, how the devil can you tell someone is dangerous if you can't hear it, see it, smell it, touch it, but it is. You got also your AM radio towers, your FM radio towers. You got airport radar, police radar, Wi-Fi hotspots. They got whole cities now which are wireless. Well, that just means that when you go into that kind of environment, you're constantly being radiated. WiMAX tower, that's something that's relatively new come out, and one tower will cover a range of about 25 to 30, probably 30 miles, just the one tower. Can you imagine how much radiation you're getting? And yet the industry presents it in such a way that this is something highly desirable, this is something you really want, but it's very dangerous to you. Then of course you've got your military and your scientific satellites, and now they want to bring on smart meters. I'll tell you a lot about smart meters later, but nothing radiates more or emits more radiation than a smart meter in a meshed grid network, which is what all the hydros, whether it's BC Hydro or Fortis BC or Pacific Gas and Electric down in California, I'll call them hydro. And instead of me using the words electromagnetic radiation, does everybody come with me just saying EMR? So when I say EMR, it's electromagnetic radiation. They all emit the same thing. So the fact that smart meters are new, EMR is not new. Scientists have had cell phones now for in excess of 30 years. Just today, literally today, I received on email a report from a Swedish hospital that had done their own study on cell phones. In the last 10 years, brain tumors have increased 296% from cell phones. Cell phones. But the industry would never tell you that. In Europe, they're far wiser than we are. Their governments are far more responsible than ours. In Europe, they're taking Wi-Fi out of universities, out of schools entirely. They're taking cell phones out of schools. In North America, because we have the power and the corruption of free enterprise and the influence of the industry on government, we're pushing them in. In Canada, the whole industry is controlled by what they call the Canadian Wireless Telecommunications Association, the CWTA. It just so happens that the president of the CWTA is Bernard Lord. Bernard Lord, he's Queen's Counsel, he's a lawyer, fluently bilingual. He had been the Premier of New Brunswick for 2 consecutive terms did a very good job, I understand. Extremely well connected, a card-carrying member of the Conservative Party. He aspires to succeed Stephen Harper when Harper eventually leaves or is defeated. But Bernard Lord is only a couple of years younger, and therefore he's just biding his time. Well, the CWTA hired him as the president and CEO about 3 years ago. He has surpassed their wildest expectations in terms of how much wireless technology he's been able to push onto the unsuspecting, trusting public. Almost every public school in Canada today is being pressured to accept wireless. And I say public because that's where he has the influence. The private sector, they're taking the wireless out. They have hardwired. Smart meters. If you believe the hydro company, they'll tell you there is no option, and that is baloney. The Itron meter, which is the one that you're installing in all our homes, if you look in their manual, it can be hardwired. From the industry's point of view, it's easier for them, and you're going to have to pay for it. And they will charge you about $500 for a meter, whereas in other jurisdictions they cost less than $200. An analog meter, the kind you have currently, they cost less than $50, and they have a life expectancy of about anywhere from 30 to 50 years. They're mechanical, they don't break down, they're reliable. There's no legitimate reason to change them. From a user's point of view, there is not one, and by the way, I have challenged BC Hydro to debate with me. I have challenged the Mayor of Kelowna to debate with me. I will challenge anybody to debate with me the pros and cons of anything wireless. The scientists around the world, or I should say, there's two influencing bodies out there to people like you and me. There's the industry spin doctors, that's the telephone companies, the wireless companies, the electric utility company, and government. They're telling us one thing, and they would have you believe that everything is benign and beneficial and desirable and all that kind of stuff, without any fear of anybody calling me or proving me wrong. It's all baloney. The other industry, or the other people are the independent scientists, those who are not funded by industry, and increasingly around the world, now that they've had cell phones to look at for 30 years, they know what illnesses are caused by EMR, whether it's a smart meter, your Wi-Fi router, your laptop computer, or your cell phone, your garage door opener. It's all EMR. The symptoms for what they call EHS, electro hypersensitivity, and they estimate that in every country of the world, it's at least 3% of the population are EHS, electro hypersensitive. In Europe, it's as high as 10%. They expect that by the year 2017, it can be 50%. That's only 5 years from now. But that's how much radiation we're getting from all this myriad of sources. The symptoms of EHS are headaches, dizziness, disrupted sleep, insomnia, fatigue, nausea, heart palpitations, memory loss, tinnitus, ringing in the ear, skin rashes, muscle and joint pain, leg and foot pain, tingling, irritability, numbness, nosebleeds, depression, and anxiety. Now, the illnesses which radiation cause, many kind of cancers. Autism. I'll tell you some really shocking numbers later on about autism. Autism, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, ADD, attention deficit. There's a scientist, his name is Barry Trower, B-A-R-R-I-E, Trower. He's about my age, he was in the British military, but he was a scientist. His specialty was microwave weapons. And he will tell you on the internet, he has a wonderful YouTube out there, that there isn't a school in the world that has introduced Wi-Fi, or like wireless, that is not now having difficulty with the behavior of their children. Not one, anywhere in the world. sleep disorders, depression, cognitive problems, cardiovascular irregularities, hormone disruption, immune system disorders, metabolism changes, stress, fertility impairment, increased blood-brain barrier, and that's mainly from your cell phone, mineral disruption, DNA damage, and much, much more. In Canada, we have what is called Health Canada. That's the federal government. And that's the ministry that is supposed to be protecting us. But don't forget, they're the same ministry that protected us against tobacco, protected us against asbestos, DDT, lead. So if you look into it, and I've spent probably probably at least a couple thousand hours researching this. So again, I'm not an expert, but I'm a heck of a good messenger, and I know my stuff. And I have websites I can support anything I make, any claims I make or any statements I make. I can show you where to find that. But Health Canada, if you were to contact them, as I have, they tell you that Canada has one of the highest standards in the world, and they're lying to you. Canada, we never did do our own study on electromagnetic radiation. Health Canada simply went to industry, the telecom industry, took their studies, and we've adopted them. We put this name on it called Safety Code 6. We've established guidelines, and these guidelines reflect the industry guidelines. They're all based on purely thermal, heat. In industry's perspective, if something does not heat the skin, it must be harmless. Scientists are saying that is absolutely nonsense. It is the non-thermal, the biological thing, the radiation that is far more dangerous to the human body. That's the stuff that damages your DNA, damages your cells. Evidence that EMR causes injuries. If you talk to Health Canada or any of your utilities like hydro utilities or your government, they will tell you that of course you're safe and that you're protected. And nothing could be further from the truth. As I mentioned, just today I received that email which went out. I belong to Citizens for Safe Technology. So if you ever have any questions, just go online and go citizensforsafetechnology.org, and that'll give you all the information you require. But as I mentioned, the Örebro Hospital in Sweden, their studies over the 10-year period, cancers of the head increased by 290%, almost 300%. Professor Ole Johansson